ended as she knew it. Ursula planted a consoling, lipstick-scented kiss on her cheek. If you find your daddy, you might find a whole other family just waiting to welcome you.
Living relatives might be nice, but you know that's not why I'm interested in finding out who he is.
Zia stared at the mountain of old paperwork as if it might magically form itself into the key to her life. Ursula sighed. I know, you're after an Italian passport, Zia-Lucia Costa Chalmers. Geez, we might even find out why you have that mouthful of a name. Zia managed a smile. You know the story Gran told me. My dad was from Italy, and a lady called Lucia Costa had once been kind to my mother. When I began to learn Italian and pointed out that Zia means aunt, she just shrugged. She sighed. When I asked other questions, she said she only wanted to concentrate on the happy memories. I didn't persist in case it made her sad. Mum was 35 when I was born, and by the time they took me on, Gran was 75 and Pap 77. Zia climbed to her feet, rubbing stiff knees. Ouch. Let's take this lot through to the dining table. She heaved the cracked brown suitcase along the hallway of her airy Brighton flat. At the top of what once had been a Georgian townhouse, the apartment gazed over the gardens of New Steen and the flowing silver figures of the AIDS monument. All the buildings had been converted into apartments or boutique hotels, and most wore gracious pastel colours, though one was a jolly turquoise. Her tall sash windows opened onto a balcony with curlicued black railings. If she glanced right, she could watch the sea switch from blue to grey, and to the left ran busy, bustling St. James's Street. She adored her home, a gem in trendy, quirky Brighton on England's south coast, and thought Gran and Pap would approve of her selling their bungalow to buy it. Ursula settled her long limbs at the table near the white marble fire surround. Okay, what are we looking for? Zia pulled out the first few document wallets. Anything that might lead to filling in the blank on my birth certificate where my father's name ought to be. If he really was Italian, it would be the easiest route to Italian citizenship. But you said anyone can apply for Italian residency. Ursula objected, pushing back the lock of blonde hair that dangled perpetually over one eye. That's right. Residency first, then maybe citizenship after a few years. It's just that those applications will stand miles more chance of success if I can prove I have an Italian parent or grandparent. She pulled a face. If dear Macpherson and Partners had been obliging enough to make me redundant before Brexit, I could have easily tried living in Italy, and I'd have avoided the relationship with Brendan. Sadly, her 3 months with Brendan, though they'd begun promisingly with flying sparks of attraction in the euphoria of a New Year's celebration, had ended with his infidelity, particularly insulting as it had always been him trying to rush her into commitment. She'd been stupid to get involved with him. Not only had he been a work colleague at the time, but he was also the best friend of Stefan, Ursula's husband. The latter fact had created an expectation that the two couples were a foursome and in the same place on the commitment scale. The former, Zia had always assumed that colleagues who dated kept their relationship out of the workplace, but Brendan had been open about them sleeping together. She hadn't enjoyed being exposed to the nudge-nudge, wink-wink office gossip. Then Macpherson and Partners made staff cuts, of which Zia was a casualty, while Brendan hung on to his job. When, hot on the heels of that disappointment, Brendan had cheated, Zia ended things, and there had been a ripple of relief beneath her shocked humiliation. Next, a drunken exploit of Ursula's had prompted Stefan to demand their marriage was put on a break. Horrible as both Ursula's problems and Zia's redundancy had been, at least Zia was no longer tripping over Brendan. But Brendan's still calling you, Ursula observed now. Any chance of a reconciliation? Zia wrinkled her nose. No, I was having doubts about us before he got caught in the act. He says he's sorry, but I suspect he's only after forgiveness so he can feel better about himself. Unfortunately, I don't find cheating easy to forgive. I only stay polite to him because if you and Stefan get back together, we'll end up back in the same friendship group. Ursula sighed mournfully. Don't know if that will happen either. Her second sigh was longer and more mournful than the first. I would have chucked myself into Devil's Dyke without your...